Hi, this is Marko Palmén for the band Evocation, and you're listening to The Bloodshed with the Vampire on Metal Messiah Radio International.
Marko, it's a pleasure to have you here at The Bloodshed with the Vampire. I want to welcome you back to Metal Messiah Radio International since you was interviewed by our American beautiful lady DJ Jet before. Thank you very much for accepting this invitation once again, Marko.
Thank you very much, Vampire. I'm so pleased to be part of the show once again, and this time to be interviewed by you. Yeah, it feels really, really great. I'm looking forward to this as hell.
You're very welcome. When we talk death metal or melodic death metal, we must mention Sweden, for sure one of the countries that have seen the born of great bands in the scene, like Entombed, Grave, At the Gates, Vomitory, The Haunted, In Flames, Dark Tranquility, Amon Amarth, Unleash, Arch Enemy, and many more. Among the list of the great bands in this metal style, we must add the name of Evocation. But even through their first full-length album, Tales from the Tomb hit the shelf in the last part of 2000, Evocation has actually been around since 1991. The band broke up in 1993 and reformed in 2005. The starting lineup back in 1991 was Janne Kenttakumpu as drummer,
Yes.
Vesa Kentakumpu, guitarist, bassist, Marko Wacker, guitarist, and Thomas Josefsson as the lead vocals. But during that same year, Christian Saarinen joined the band where took the bass slot over. Marko, how did you join the band, and are you now part of another band besides Evocation? And could you please present us the lineup that has recorded the last album, The Shadow Archetype?
I'm only playing with Evocation, but during the years I had a short stint in another band here in my hometown named Rajoitus. That's a crust punk band, and they are actually playing very much Finnish-inspired crust punk, and all the lyrics are in Finnish as well. But I only did a short stint there for, I don't know, maybe 6 months or something like that. And that was in the time period after Evocation split up in 1993. And that was merely as to have something to do instead of having nothing to do. So it was a fun thing to do, but crust punk might not be my main priority and maybe not my biggest passion. Death metal is my biggest passion and has always been, and Evocation has always been my baby and my pure passion. So nowadays it's just Evocation, has been since 2005, restarted the band again, and Evocation will probably be the only band that I'm playing with until I retire from the music scene for good.
You guys has grown up together in Sweden, you and the rest of at least the starting lineup?
Yeah, we have the band started up here in our hometown named Borås, which is about 60 kilometers from Gothenburg. And all the members in the original lineup were from this town, Borås. So it was me, Thomas, Janne and Vesa, and then the bass player Christian Saarinen joined in as well. We're all from Borås, and so we see Borås as our main hometown for the band. But one could also say that we were located very close to Gothenburg, so we were also quite a lot part of the Gothenburg death metal scene. We used to hang out with the Gothenburg death metal bands like Dark Tranquility, Ceremony Low, At the Gates, and so on. And we used to go to each other's shows, and we played lots of shows in Gothenburg. I think we played more shows in Gothenburg than in Borås, actually.
Okay.
And we were a natural part of the Gothenburg death metal scene as well.
I believe in Gothenburg, the metal scenes, it's very much bigger than in Borås, right?
Yeah, it's bigger. Borås is only a small town compared to Gothenburg. We have like 100,000 citizens here, and Gothenburg, I think, has maybe 500,000. Yeah, so naturally the metal scene is a lot bigger in Gothenburg. And here in Borås, we don't get those, all the tours that pass by here in Scandinavia. None of the tours pass by Borås, really. They just make stops in Gothenburg and Stockholm and maybe Malmö in southern part of Sweden. The metal scene is naturally much bigger in Gothenburg.
Marko, since we already mentioned the started lineup of the band way back in 1991, would you like to present us the lineup, but not talking about the current lineup since you have some quite little changes, but the lineup that has recorded the album The Shadow Archetype?
Okay, yeah. It was me and Thomas, who are the original members from Evocation. Me on guitars and Thomas on vocals, of course. And then we have Simon Exner on lead guitars. He joined the band after Vesa Kentakumpu left the band in 2013. Simon has previously played in a band called As You Drown, who were signed to Metal Blade.
Mm-hmm.
And As You Drown is a more, technical death metal outfit. But he's been a long-time friend of Evocation, and when he joined the band, he just melted right into the band and fits the band perfectly, both with the songwriting, but also on a personal level. He's grown to be a really, really good friend, and somehow it just feels as if he has always been in the band, just after a couple of years. He's such a steady guy. I love him. And then we have Gustav Jorde on bass, and he has been a part of the band since the Illusions of Grandeur album, the album before Shadow Archetype. He's also a longtime friend of the band, and he comes from Uppsala, a town a bit north of Stockholm. He's been a part of bands like Die Flesh, Raubetyr, and he's a really, really good bass player and a steady guy. You couldn't have a more steady guy on the bass than Gustav. He's a great guy. And then on the album, we had Palmén Jensen, the previous drummer of The Haunted, joining in on session drums for the album. And he, at the moment, he's working with a band called Road to Jerusalem, but he was looking for session work when we contacted him. I'm really happy that we contacted him because he just did an amazing job with the drums on the album. And I know that our previous drummer, Janne Kenttakumpu, who was the original drummer, he had Palmén Jensen as one of his main influences on the drumming. So when he heard that Per joined the band for the album, he was so pleased. He said, "You guys couldn't have found a better choice." Yeah, we're just really, really pleased with his work on the album. It turned out amazing. And after the album, we had another new guy joining the band, the latest addition. His name is Janne Jaloma.
The band made its comeback in 2005 with the release of self-titled compilation album Evocation with Breath of Night Records, but in 2012 the band revived the demos from the Asian Grave with the release of the compilation Evoke from the Demonic Depths, the early years. Tracks number 1 to 4 taken from the Ancient Gate demo. Track 5 to 9 from the promo 1992 demo. Track 10 to 13 are previously unreleased rehearsal tracks. As a very special, the band has recorded the unreleased track Genesis, which has been written in 1992 but so far has never been available before. Marko, after the band made its comeback in 2005, did you feel it was time to go back in time and bring all these demos back to life for the fans, and especially to do a release of all these older material with Century Media Records?
Yeah, that was a really special thing for us to do. We did release on Breath of Night Records in 2004 or something like that, I think it was. But that didn't turn out so good, I think. We didn't look through our vaults and we didn't add all the pictures, we didn't add all the stories and so on. But for the Century Media release there, Evoke from Demonic Depths, we just dig into all our vaults and found every little picture that we could find everywhere. And we added them in the booklet, and we wrote the story of the band, which we put really a lot of effort into. I think I spent 2 weeks writing that story, and also we had some friends from Germany, journalists who wrote some additional stuff about Evocation. We just put everything we could find anywhere into that release, and just felt great to do it. It felt like a closure to the old chapter of the band, and after that it felt that now I can finally move on forward.
But Marko, is this release still available?
The Evoked from Demonic Depths?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's available through Century Media Records.
I'm sure there's a lot of people that still want to put their hands on and to want to have this special piece of art in their collection.
Yeah, and it's a really cost-worthy release. The vinyl version, Century Media didn't spare a dime on that one. It's, those thick 180-gram vinyls, and it's a double vinyl release, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. And also, we had, this is really cool, we found some old video material as well when we were looking through all our vaults.
Did you add a DVD to this release?
There is enhanced material. If you put the CD into a computer, there is an enhancement. There are 3 tracks with videos that you can look on through laptop or computer.
Okay, very great.
That video material actually came to us through a bit of coincidence. Mikael Stanne from Dark Tranquility, he was filming one of our shows that we did together with them in Gothenburg, and he sent that material, so that's part of his material as well on those enhancements.
Great guy, great bands. Dark Tranquility I always love when I see them live. Great presentation, great new album they have also released.
Yeah.
follow 3 years after the band reunion. 3 albums were released and demolished the whole death metal community with Tales from the Tomb 2007, Death Calm Chaos 2008, and Apocalyptic in 2010, respectively. Still remember killer tunes like The Death, From Menace to Mayhem, Bless Upon the Altar, The Symbol of Sin, The More We Bleed, A Silent Sleep, Angel of Torment, Protected by What Gods, Antidote, Reunion in War, Murder in Passion, Course of the Creatures, to mention some. To go back to the history of the band, remembering these great albums that has made the comeback after 12 years in deep silence, are you really satisfied with this release and what they had meant for the band? And do you still have them on your set list? How do the band feel with the work done with Cyclone Empire for those released?
Yeah, I can just begin by saying that, wow, those 3 albums are something really special to us all in the band, and there are always tracks from those 3 albums on every set list that we play. When we started up again in 2005, we just said that, yeah, we're just going to play the old demo tracks and see where it leads to, but in the beginning it sounded like shit, to be quite honest, because we hadn't played on our instruments for several years, so we were quite rusty. But after a couple of months rehearsing, it started to sound quite good. And then I think it was Vesa who said, hey, aren't we going to do any new tracks? We can't just rehearse these old tracks over and over again. And yeah, okay, let's do it and see where it leads to. And we started making tracks and started to sound good. And then all of a sudden we had a full album ready. And then we got in touch with Cyclone Empire and signed to them. And all of a sudden we had, a couple of years later, we had made 3 albums. Tales from the Tomb, Death Calm Chaos, and the Apocalyptic album. And it was in such a speed. We were so productive. Songs, tracks just flew out of us. Just spitting out new tracks all the time. But with great quality, I think. We have always had a huge pride in keeping quality extremely high. We don't ever, fill the albums with fillers. We just want to have fillers on every albums.
That's true.
3 albums came out. We made tours with Cannibal Corpse, Amon Amarth, Dying Fetus, Obscura, Black Dahlia Murder, and tons of festivals all over Europe, in Finland, Austria, Swiss, and Germany, and everywhere, and club shows. Yeah, we have just had such a great time. I'm just so pleased that we started up the band again and did all these great things. The only thing I regret is that we didn't start up again sooner.
Oh, yeah, too bad. Looking back at those 3 albums, as I mentioned, a couple of songs. Marko, as you said, when you start playing again, it took a couple of times before you can catch each other to start getting your rhythms together. If I go back, see Tales from the Tomb up to Apocalyptic, these 3 albums, Death, Calm, Chaos in 2008, all these 3 albums, for sure you say, okay, from one year to the next, the band has become much more mature. I have listened to this album over and over again. I can say which one is best. If you tell me no, the second one or the third one is the best one, but I might not believe you, because to me, to my ears, all 3 are very great albums.
Yeah, I agree. All 3 have their own qualities and they have their own character, and the band is developing in different ways. Yeah. The first album is very raw and brutal and very old school. Feels like the band is back in 1991 again or something like that.
Are you agree if I say it's not necessary that the album has to compare or compete with each other?
Yeah. I would definitely agree to that. But if one would look at a favorite album that I have, I would perhaps say that the latest one, The Shadow Archetype, is my favorite right now.
Yeah, we're talking about 10 years after almost, compared to Tales from the Tomb. 10 years is quite a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And lots of things that happens with the band during that time. So,
that's true.
Yeah.
After concluded the cycle as a death metal band, Evocation came out to conquering the melodic metal style with one killer album, the full-length Illusions of Grandeur in 2012 with awesome songs like Illusion of Grandeur, Divided and Conquer, Metasodium, Seven Faces of God, and in 2013 the cover EP Anatomized, featuring incredible tunes from the band like Eddie Gates, Bolt Thrower, Nippon Death, Carcass, Edge of Sanity. What was the reason the band switched from death metal to melodic death metal, Marko?
The Apocalyptic album was sort of, every album that we make becomes sort of a reaction towards the previous album. If you look at the Tales album, that one was really raw and brutal. Then came Chaos, which is a bit more melodical. And then after that, we made the Apocalyptic album, which is a really, really raw, brutal, fast-paced album. After that came Illusions, which again became a reaction towards the more melodic path. But to be quite honest, when I look back on the Illusions of Grandeur album, I sometimes feel that it's a bit overproduced and it's a bit too clean and a bit too polished for my taste. It felt great at the time when we did the album, but now afterwards I would have perhaps wanted it a bit different. The guitar sound more dirty or something like that. Perhaps more in the sound like we had on the latest album, The Shadow Archetype, because that is the best sound we have ever managed to get. But on the other hand, we worked a really, really long time on the production of the latest album to get that sound.
But do you see that you had the same reaction or the same support of the fans when you came out with the 2012 album? That's the first album you came with changes in the style.
Yeah, of course there were friends and fans that reacted towards sort of change of direction there. And I think it's natural. I mean, people are used to having the band sounding in one particular way, and then comes the Illusions album that sounds a bit different from the previous ones. Of course, that's natural to react towards. But on the other hand, there were many positive comments about that album as well. But as I said, I think that was sort of an album that we won't go back to ever again, and doing an album that sounds like that one. It was a fun thing to do at the moment, but not really, when I look back to it, not one of my favorite albums, not the favorite sound, but it was fun to do at the time.
Okay, how has the band been working so far with Century Media Records after those 3 releases?
Yeah, Century Media was a great record label to work with. They did a really, really good job with promotion, and the distribution apparatus on Century Media is amazing. I mean, the records are available everywhere, all around the world, so I can't complain about Century Media. They did a really, really, really good job with Evocation, and I think the whole band stands behind me when I say that. The latest album, we worked with the Metal Blade record for The Shadow Archetype, and for us it also feels a bit like coming home, because at the European office there, for instance, there are friends there who have known the band Evocation since the very start back in 1992. There's a funny thing, the European A&R guy, Andreas Reisnauer, he, I don't know if he'll tell this on the radio, but I think he'll laugh about it. He used to have a record label back in the early 90s named Concrete Records. He actually distributed our very, very first demo, the Ancient Gate demo, back in 1992. So we have known him and been friends with Andreas since the very, very start of the band. For us, it feels great to be on Metal Blade Records and working with Andreas and the people there. It feels like coming home for us.
and now after from 91 with Concrete Records, a much bigger band Evocation, a much bigger label Metal Blade Records. I mean, you guys on a higher level now.
Absolutely. A bit higher, just tiny bit higher.
Recently signed to Metal Blade Records after being a part of another giant label, Century Media, the Swedes delivered their 5th album, The Shadows Archetype, on March 10, 2017. The Shadow Archetype present the better of the mixture of old school and modern melodic death metal, running on the same course of the Evocation's counterpart on their own metal scene as Mors Principium et Ablaze My Sorrow among the recently rejuvenated. Okay, I'd like to congratulate you and the whole band, Marko, with such an outstanding masterpiece, this great new album. Marko, I noticed that the recording has been totally different this time compared to what the band has done for Illusions of Grandeur in 2012. Could you explain more about this, please?
Yeah, there were just so many things that we did different this time. If we just start with the songwriting process, we just felt that we needed to do something different compared to Illusion. We wanted to go back to the roots, incorporate more of the old school feeling to the death metal, but still keeping some of those melodic parts in there, but not without letting the melodic parts taking over. And Simon became a great addition in that way, because his songwriting, he's a more brutal songwriter, but also has these melodic stuff in him. So me and Simon got to work, and it was just such a smooth ride writing that album. It felt as if our ideas were the same all along the way, and we had the same direction with the songwriting. And we wanted to make a more brutal, but still keeping some of that melodic parts and going more towards the old school. But also, Simon, he's a bit more modern as well in his thinking. He's a younger generation. He's still 12 years younger than I am, and likes bands like Decapitated, Behemoth, and quite brutal new school death metal stuff. And so he incorporated some of that stuff as well into the Shadow archetype, and it just worked out perfectly. I couldn't have been better. And when it comes to the production, we work with Daniel Bergstrand, who's in his Dugout production studios. He has recorded bands like Dimmu Borgir, Behemoth, Meshuggah, In Flames, and many great bands. And he was a real pleasure working with as well. And he completely understood our vision with the album to go more in a brutal direction. And I know he just captured that feeling perfectly on with the production. For me, it's the perfect album. I couldn't have asked for a better sound and for better tracks. Everything is worked through until we were 100% satisfied. I mean, the songwriting, I think we wrote the tracks for 1.5 years before we were 100% satisfied. We just felt that there shouldn't be, and not a single riff should be a filler riff on this album.
Okay. Yeah, you can notice. They are damn killers.
The purpose of the
But Marco, talking about the recording, as you explained, every little details, maybe has been done by different studio. But about the Evocation studio?
Yeah, of course. We recorded the album at 3 different studios this time. The drums were recorded at Create Studios in Gothenburg with Oskar Nilsson, who plays in Engel. And then we recorded guitars and bass and main lead vocals at the Evocation Studios in Borås. Yeah, it worked out perfectly because at Evocation Studios we can spend as much time as we like until we are 100% satisfied. There's no deadline, We can just work and work and work until we're 100% satisfied. And so, yeah, our studio is fully equipped with the best gear. So, yeah, it just worked out nice.
Okay, that's great to hear. According to the critics, the band took 5 years to refocus and to restructure after imitating Amon Amarth a bit too much on 2012 Illusion Grandeur, with the results to came with Pete Per Jansen on the kit and the band's desire to return to the sound that made that calm chaos and apocalyptic so great. Did the band really needed this long break to refocus, and did you only brought Per Jansen for only one album since you already currently sharing the service of Janne Jaloma together with Dark Funeral?
Yeah, I think we needed those 5 years because we lost 2 of our founding members, Janne Kenttakumpu and Vesa Kentakumpu, the 2 brothers that have been also part of the band ever since the beginning in 1991. And it was a really big loss for Evocation. I mean, they have been an integral part of the band since the beginning and have been a huge part of the songwriting and everything around the band. So it was a huge blow for us in the beginning, and I actually thought about it for a while to completely bury the band because I didn't know how to get on with the band. But after a while I just felt that there are still things with Evocation that I haven't achieved yet or haven't finished. It didn't feel like it was finished yet, so that feeling just started growing on me. And the same was with Thomas, and then we decided to go on, but we really needed a long break this time to work really properly with the new album, because we would continue with Evocation. It would be no point in continuing if we would make an album just quickly to get an album out and the album didn't turn out good. Okay. So that's why we also felt that we need to work really, really hard and really, really long time to get the album perfect and in every detail, both with the production and with the songwriting. Because if the new material would have been worse than what we have done previously with Evocation, with the original lineup, then it would just be like dragging the name Evocation in the dirt. I can't stand behind that. If there would have been somewhere along the way that I would have felt that this album wouldn't have turned out as good as I wanted it to, then I would have pulled the plug somewhere along the way. But now I'm really proud that we worked on it so much, because it's a great album. I really think that's
that's true.
It's one of our best albums.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you cannot blame yourself for the album you done in 2012, The Illusion of Grandeur. It has its stage, it has its melodic in it, but you just have stepped over from the style of type of the death metal and moving in another direction. And I think that was like a tryout. Can I say a tryout, that album?
Yeah, absolutely. And it was definitely a tryout. And many of our albums has been a sort of tryout, but that one, Illusions album, really stands out in comparison with the earlier album. So that one is more of a tryout than previous. We have always tried to make every album unique and special and not having them sound the same, because if one would make the same album over and over, it feels like there's no point in doing another album. But yeah, the Illusions album became a bit step too far in the melodic direction and feels too polished and too clean in my taste when I listen to it nowadays.
Marko, like I already asked, Per Jansen, you brought him only for one album?
Yes, that's right. We offered Per a permanent seat in Evocation as well, but Per said that he unfortunately wasn't interested in becoming a permanent member in any band at that time that he was in, right, when we recorded the album. So unfortunately he was only part of the band on the album, but he did an amazing job, and he's an amazing guy. We had a whole week here in our hometown Borås where we hanged out and had a just great time. And we're very good friends nowadays and keep in touch. And so. I mean, even though he was only a drummer for one album, he will always be a part of the Evocation DNA and has a special place in our hearts for the great job he did on that album.
Okay, do you believe if you don't hire a permanent member, since you're using the service of Janne Jaloma, who's also drumming for Dark Funeral now, and you planning to make a new album, do you think you will call Per Jansen again?
No, Janne Jaloma is now a permanent member of Evocation, so now the seat is Janne's until further notice, until Janne or the band does something different. But Janne is now a permanent member of Evocation, and he will be the drummer on any future recordings for Evocation.
Okay, so Janne is permanent now.
Yes.
Okay, but will he be doing a double shot with Dark Funeral as well?
Yes, but in Dark Funeral he's not a permanent member yet, so he's only a hired drummer there at the moment, but we'll see what happens in the future. But Janne has said that he will continue playing with Evocation until something else happens, but at the moment it works out fine. Evocation is not a super busy band playing 100 shows a year or something like that. We do select shows and try to come out and play club shows, festivals and smaller tours, but
okay, great.
It works out perfectly fine with the Dark Funeral schedule, so there's no problems in playing in both Evocation and Dark Funerals so far.
Evocation Condemned to the Grave video from the album The Shadow Archetype was directed by René Valdez. Tell us more about this video. Where and when was this shot, and are you making more videos for The Shadow's Archetype?
Yeah, that one we recorded in a small village called Gölingstorp. It's like 45 minutes with a car from Borås, where our hometown is, and we recorded it in early February 2017, and it was really cold.
Very creepy.
Very cold when we recorded that video.
Cold, but I said very creepy too.
Yes,
the place.
Yes, very creepy. Yeah. the house where we recorded the video, it's an old house that has been abandoned for 40 years, I think. No one has lived in it, and has a really creepy feeling to it. It was really cool, but it was cold as hell recording it.
Okay.
The story behind it is just that there's this couple out driving, and the car breaks down, and they start walking through the woods, and all of a sudden they find this house. Walk into the house and look around, and there are these strange mirrors in the house, and when the camera flashes by, you can see that inside the mirrors there are ghosts, previous habitants that has been killed in the house, and then the woman in the couple becomes possessed by one of the demons, and then the man in the couple gets murdered and buried at the house, and also becomes a part of ghosts in the
demons.
house. Yeah, so that's just simply put the story behind it, and it was a really fun recording to do. René Valdez and his crew were great to work with. We worked with them on when we recorded the video for Tomorrow Has No Sunrise back in 2008 on the .com Chaos album. So we knew René from earlier, and he's a great guy to work with.
Evocation confirmed for Chronicle Measures open year in Germany 2018 now, this year sometimes. Other confirmation bands so far are Axpix Creeper, Toxic Walls, Warpath, and the Unnamed Debtors. And also the band confirmed for 1 a Month Festival, that's between the 10th and 12th of May 2018, that's in Sepnis, Germany. Marko, was there an album release party? And if it's so, how did it went? And how are the band preparing for the festival I just mentioned?
Yeah, we had planned a release party show here in our hometown as we always do for our albums, but unfortunately we got screwed by the promoter for that venue here in our hometown, so we unfortunately had to cancel the entire show with just a couple of days notice before the show was taking place, and it was a huge bummer for all of us in the band. We have never cancelled shows before, but this was the first time. So unfortunately, we haven't had any shows more planned here in our hometown. But now during the spring here, 2018, we are trying to put together a show here in our hometown at a different venue together with the Rimfrost, a black metal outfit here from our hometown. We're really great guys and really great friends of us.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Just had the honor to interview Ravna of Rimfrost.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, he's a great guy. I love those guys. And we also met them this Friday on they had this rehearsal room show, which was great. But anyway, concerning that release party show, we're trying to put something together with Rimfrost. But when that show got cancelled last spring in April, the release party show, we actually did a small release show in our rehearsal room also, but we only invited like 50 of our closest friends from our hometown here, and it was a really nice occasion as well, and we just bought a lot of beer and booze to that show as well, and everybody turned out and had a just great time. It becomes really intimate and
that's
really
true.
Nice to do those rehearsal room shows. We haven't ever done that before. This was the first time, but it turned out really, really fun, really great, and our friends really enjoyed it, so it was a great thing to do. And concerning those shows for the summer, we haven't really started rehearsing yet for those shows yet, because Janne, our drummer, he's at the moment preparing himself for a tour with Dark Funeral he's doing in February, March in US and Canada. He doesn't really have time to rehearse now, so we'll start rehearsing when he gets back end of March.
Okay.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that. We haven't played much live for this album yet, but we're getting up now. We're all really hungry and really looking forward to playing shows. And festival shows are, I think, the best shows you can do. They are really, really great to do. I love them.
Marko, are you or do you know that you guys will be playing anywhere else, perhaps big festivals in the summer?
At the moment, don't have any more shows confirmed. These are the ones so far, but our booking agent is working on more shows, so we'll see. Hopefully we'll get something more confirmed the winter time here.
Okay, the Shadow Archetype is here to settle a score and prove once and for all that the band has lent in keeping the journey alive. I'm pretty sure that this album will be hitting high on the top best album release of 2017 charts. Marko, I want to thank you once again very, very much for giving me this great opportunity to interview you. I want to thank our friend Ravna from Rimfrost to have get me in contact with you. And once again, I want to hand you over the microphone of Metal Messiah Radio for you to invite all your friends and the band's fans to support the band and to buy your albums. I mean, to buy your early albums. They are great albums from all the way up 2007 up coming to the last one here, the Shadow Archetype. To get these albums, they are all great albums to attend to your shows, all your shows you have scheduled already, and, to support the band in general.
Thank you so much, Vampire. This has been a huge honor for me and for every part of this show. And support the death metal scene as much as you can. Listeners out there on Metal Messiah Radio. And support Evocation and the new album Shadow Archetype. And please come to our shows and have a good time together with us. In Evocation, we have many times maybe joked a little bit about sometime in the future, the dream for Evocation would be to relocate the entire band to Bahamas or something like that in the West Indies and start playing calypso death metal.
Well, we don't do too much calypso here like Bahamas does or the Trinidad and Tobago, but you're always welcome here. There's such a beautiful island, sand beaches, blue oceans, beautiful people, friendly people, and a lot of metalhead awaiting for you.
Sounds amazing, and I'm sure I wouldn't have any difficulties in persuading my fellow band members to relocating to Aruba. Could we become climate refugees maybe?
You can, you can just become citizen. I'm sure we here are with open arms to receive anybody who really want to become part of this great community and to help these little islands to go up forward. You're more than welcome. I want to say, Marko, you're very welcome here on this beautiful island. Anything you want to come, we have, like I say, nice people that will warm welcome you 24/7, 365 days a year. So always welcome if you want to think of Aruba as a destination for your vacation. You're always welcome, believe me.
Definitely we'll come there someday.
Yeah, let me know. I try to accommodate you.
Wow, thank you very much. That would be awesome.
Thank you once again, and like I say, all the best with the Shadow Archetype. It's a very, very, very great album. I like Apocalyptic. I like this album so much. Like I said, I like all the albums, Evocation albums, but after I heard the last one, I have to agree with you. That's the best album out so far of the band.
Thank you so much. And it really warms my heart and the other guys in the band's hearts as well. I mean,
I'm looking curiously, I'm looking around to see the top 20s, the top 50s, and which position this album will be stationed, because I'm sure you guys are gonna be on the top list, not just in between.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it really warms my heart, as I said, and that's what keeps the band going. It's to hear people saying that our music means something to them. That's the spark that we need to keep the band going.
Okay, without anything else more to say, Marko, thank you very much, and like I always say, metal on. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, thank you.